Right, let's all
Hi guys, welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to do the middle solo from Supersonic, but the live version from Budokan, which I believe is an arena in Japan. It's a really cool solo. It's very similar to the original, but we're going to run through it and I'll try and mention the bits as I go that are different. There's a couple of bits where I found it quite hard to hear exactly what he's playing because I'm not sure whether he's deliberately doing it or not. I think particularly one of them it sounds like it's not, but we'll go through it as accurately as I possibly can. F sharp minor pentatonic, just like the original, is going to be the shape that we're thinking of. I'll just play it up here. So it's the main shape that most people know, but starting at 14. So let's crack on. Okay, so the beauty of this solo is that it's effectively 4 licks that are repeated and then a little ending at the end. But because it's a live version, they're not exactly the same both times. But they are very similar. So let's go through lick 1. Lick 1 has a little pickup on it. We do a slide down as Liam's still singing. Then we slide back into 17 on the B, 16 on the G. That's our little pickup. Then the real lick kicks in here. Unison bend, 14 on the B, 16 on the G, 2 of those bends. Then on the G string, 16, then 14. Okay, so that's lick 1. Then lick 2, which is a really cool lick, just working our way through this scale really. 16 to 14 on the G, 16 on the D, 14 on the D, stay on 14 and hammer on to 16 on the D, then 14 on the G, then 16 to 14 on the D, pick both, then it sounds like he's going back to 16 on the D string there to me. So that lick 2. Okay, that's lick 2. Lick 3 is the one I had the most trouble with because one of the notes, it's very hard to hear exactly what he's doing, whether he's doing it deliberately or not. I start with a unison bend because I think it sounds better. So 14 on the B again, 16 on the G. Just one of those this time. Then 16 on the G, 14 on the G. This is the one that's hard. I have tabbed it as both a 16 on the G and a 16 on the D, and I can't make up my mind exactly which one it is, which probably means he's going for the 16 on the G and he's catching the 16 on the D as well. So it's not quite that sound, but it's somewhere near that kind of a sound. Okay, then we're going to bend 16 on the G up and down and then 14 on the G. So it's a very tough lick to get exactly as he plays it there because I'm not sure he gets exactly the right note on that 16. So 16 on the D is the note that I hear the most, but it sounds like he might also be catching 16 on the G. It's really hard to hear. So it'd be this. Yeah, something like that. I would say if you're playing it, just pick what sounds good to you there, because you could just play it with a 16 on the G. That sounds absolutely fine. It kind of works with a 16 on the D as well. Whichever of those two you prefer, or try and get that sound that he gets where he's kind of sounds like he's strumming 2 notes there. That's lick 3. Nightmare for that one for me, but let's move on to lick 4. So lick 4, I'm going to play 14, hammer on to 16. And then on the G string, I'm going to play 14, hammer to 16, pull off to 14, quickly. Then 16 on the D, 14 on the G. So we end up with this. Okay, so that's the first 4 licks. They are probably more different than the next 4 licks are from the original, if that makes sense. I'll make sure I put a little link in the description. I don't know if I already mentioned that to the me teaching the original solo, because I think it's a cool thing to be able to go and have a look at that as well. Anyway, so these are the ones that have a couple of different bits. So let's go through this first section. So that's basically the first 4 licks, and I'll go through it at a much slower tempo than I do in the original, basically. Much slower tempo than the original. I can't talk today. Let's go. Oh, that was very apt because I slightly fluffed that 16, so that kind of works. Okay, so let's just crack on and go through lick number 5 we're on now. So this is the second 4 kind of lick sequence, which is very, very similar. We start with the unison bend again, 14 on the B, 16 on the G. This time just one of those. Then 16 on the G. Pardon me, sorry, 14 on the G. Terrible. So that's our lick 5. Lick 6 is almost exactly the same as lick 2. Not quite, but very, very similar. The first bit's the same though. 16 to 14 on the G, 16 on the D, 14 on the D, hammer on 14 to 16 on the D, 14 on the G, then on the D, 16 to 14. It sounds like to me there he's not going back to 16, he's staying on 14 and putting lots of vibrato on it and having a bit of feedback because his guitar's so loud. But if you disagree with me, I'm not going to argue the point too much, but that's what it sounds like to me. So let me just play lick 6 through. Okay, lick number 7, unison bend again, 14 on the B, 16 on the G, 16 on the G again, 14 on the G. This time I'm going to grab 17 on the B, which I'm going to do with my pinky. Oh, more post, which I'm going to do with my pinky. Then I'm going to do the bend on 16 up and down, then 14 on the G. Okay, so that's lick 7. So that's exactly as it's played in the original, so that sounds great, love that one. And then lick 8 is actually, I'm going to do exactly the same as lick 4. The only difference is they slightly kind of got a slowing down feel. It's not really a proper RAL, which is the snazzy name for slowing down lots. But it's that kind of feel like it's kind of breaking down, and this is the end of this part of the solo before he's going to do another little bit in a breakdown. But it's basically 14 to 16 on the D, then on the G 14, 16, 14, 16 on the D, 14 on the G. Okay, so as I say, it's the same as lick 4. Let me do licks 5, 6, 7 and 8 at a really slow tempo again, and that's the second half of the solo. Okay. Okay, so that's the main bulk of the solo. I would say that any of those bends can be unison or not unison. It sounds to me like he's doing a lot of them as unison, but when you're doing that and you're playing a solo, it's very easy to not catch both strings, and so to sound like just a single bend as well. But I would say any of those bends could be done as a unison bend as well. It sounds really, really cool either way. Obviously, you can see the ones that I've chosen to do as unison bends as well. On my tab, I've written most of them down as not unison bends because I'm contrary like that. So anyway, let's do the final bit of the solo. So this is the breakdowny bit. This is the bit that is slightly different to the album version. So what we're going to do, we're going to stay in the same position. We're going to bend 16 up and down, 14 on the G, then we're going to go back to 16 and we're going to do a very slow kind of bend up. So we end up with then what would be effectively lick 10. I'm going to do the same bend at the start, 16 up and down on the G string, 14 on the G, 16 on the D. Okay, so that's those two licks at the end there. Makes me think of Wonderful Tonight because it's almost exactly the same as that. Anyway, to end the solo, we do a couple of quick slides like that, and then we're into the verse lick, which I haven't done yet because I haven't done that video. But if you're watching this in the future, I'll have the link in the description to me teaching the verse sections, which will probably be the next thing I do. But that's the end of the solo. So hopefully that makes some sense to you. I've tried to break it down into the different licks and then into the 2 4 lick sections which are very, very similar, and then those final 2 licks at the end. Killer solo. It sounds great. The more I listen to him live, the more I enjoy it. He keeps things simple. He doesn't go crazy, but it just works. Just sounds really, really, really good. And that's the middle solo. As I said, my next plan is to try and get through the verse sections. The trouble I've got is he does the 2 verses, not completely differently, but differently. So I've got to try and transcribe both of them, which is a bit of a nightmare. Anyway. And I will do the outro solo to this one at some point. Again, that's been a tricky one to transcribe because he uses a lot of wah, and that's quite hard to hear. Anyway, yeah, I keep just saying anyway, so let me wrap up the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this useful. As I said at the start, if you know the Supersonic solo, this will be very, very easy for you. It sounds really, really cool, and particularly if you're playing live, doing this song live, you could definitely steal this version of it because it sounds great, and it just sounds a little bit different, and I quite like that. Love the pickup as well, that. Love that bit. Anyway, please like the video. I really appreciate it. It's really, really helpful for me. The same with commenting on the video. It's really, really helpful, and I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel. There'll be more guitar stuff. Trying to get a couple of videos up a week at the moment, so more and more and more guitar stuff. And I'll see you guys soon for some more, probably some more of this song, to be honest. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.